and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for the final decisions video of this season, Game Week 38, and we are going to be covering all of the press conference and injury news, including the likes of Saka and De Bruyne, as well as going through some other stuff, captains, goalkeepers, the perfect Game Week 38 team, clean sheet odds, and who has something to play for going into Game Week 38. We've got a brand new graphic for that. Guys, if you enjoy this one, do leave a like, do subscribe if you're new around here. Let's get started. Okay, let's go through the press conferences first of all, and according to Mikel Arteta, Saka should be fine for this game week, and if we know anything about Saka is if he's even slightly available, then he will play. Obviously, we know Saka has been playing through the pain barrier for quite some time now, and there's no real intention to rest him until after the Euros. After that, he is going to have the summer to kind of recover a little bit, but until then, he is going to be playing. Well, at least that is the plan, and that is what Arsenal hope for him. So he will be playing. According to Arteta, he should be fine, but let's see if Arteta is being 100% truthful or not. Apparently, everyone else is, presumably available. No other injury news. Jurriën Timber could, of course, maybe feature in the final game week of the season, but I'm a bit doubtful about that as well. For Aston Villa, Zaniolo has picked up a fractured foot injury, so he is going to be ruled out, as well as Cash, Tielemans, and Rodgers. They're all unavailable as well. For Bournemouth, Kirkes, he's going to return to the Bournemouth squad following a suspension. Favre will have a late assessment, and Mefan, he is still ill and doubtful ahead of this game week. Collins' injury is not serious for Brentford, so we could see him return to the starting 11 against Newcastle this week. And Maupay, he's expected back. He was out last game week because his child was born. So congratulations, Neil Maupay. I know you've caused me some pain in FPL in the past, but congratulations on your newborn child. For Brighton, Dunk has been ruled out following a knee injury sustained this week. So unfortunate news there for any Dunk owners. Although, to be honest, you're probably not going to play him anyway. He's probably more of a bench player if you do have him. Veltman, another kind of player that maybe some people picked up last week. He has picked up an injury in the midweek. No news on whether he is going to be available to return this game week or not, but just be aware of that one. And Lamptey, following a lot of minutes in game week 37, will be assessed as to whether he can get more minutes in game week 38. Bit doubtful about that one. For Burnley, no injury news, but rotation has been hinted at, with Company maybe choosing to maybe play some of his players who have been long servants of the Burnley club and are maybe looking to move on after this season or retire. Bayer, Koleosho, Ramsey, Redmond, Alderkirk as well. They're all still out. For Chelsea, Mudryk, he has been ruled out due to the concussion rule. He sustained a concussion in the week, so he is going to be out. Presumably, that means Nkunku getting some minutes on the left-hand side there for Chelsea. Reece James is suspended, so good news for Malo Gusto owners, Chalobah owners, better chance of getting minutes out of those players. And Sanchez, he is still out with illness, which means Petrovic should be nailed on for the final game week of the season. And for Crystal Palace, Hughes, he's picked up a knee injury. He is going to be out. Jefferson Lerma is not expected to play despite he has trained, and Ahmada is suspended. So a few missing links from Crystal Palace, but they still should have enough to get it through the line against Aston Villa this week. For Everton, Harrison is out with a hamstring injury, but Gomez could be back potentially there. And not that it's going to matter too much against Arsenal. We do expect Arsenal to have a very confident win against Everton. For Fulham, we've actually got more than one player on the, unavailable list for Fulham this week, because Lukic is still out with a calf injury and Diop is now suspended. For Liverpool, Jota and Robertson, they are back in training, so we could see some minutes for them. Maybe there's some risk there actually with some of the Liverpool attackers. If you're going for a Gakpo or a Luis Diaz, maybe Jota could take some minutes there. Thiago's also been spotted in training this week, so maybe a farewell game for him alongside Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, Klopp's farewell game at Liverpool as well. For Luton Town, Barkley and Burke, they have been ruled out, and there's no expected other returnees ahead of the Game Week 38 game week. For Man City, Ederson has been officially ruled out with an eye socket fracture, so he is going to be out certainly this game week and probably in the FA Cup as well, which means Ortega is likely to play instead. Now, De Bruyne owners, kind of bad news, I guess, here. He is going to be assessed. There's going to be a late call made on him. Of course, we will be covering any team leaks in tomorrow's deadline stream, Sunday's deadline stream, because, of course, the deadline's on Sunday this game week. So, yeah, any late team news with the likes of Saka, Saka and De Bruyne, if there's late calls on these kind of players, then we'll keep our ears to the walls and make sure we give you all of the final team news, the team leaks ahead of the deadline on Sunday during the deadline stream. For Manchester United, Maguire, Malacia and Shaw have been ruled out. Varane and Lindelof are in training, late call to be made on those players. And Martinez actually back in the matchday squad in the midweek, so he could potentially start. A real boost for Manchester United's defensive prospects there. For Newcastle, Wilson, he is back following illness. Does that cast doubt about Isak's potential minutes? Potentially, although they could both play together, particularly as Gordon, he is a doubt with an ankle injury. Pope, he's not going to be rushed back apparently, so Dubravka could potentially be good for Game Week 38 if you were looking to play him. We also know that Fabian Schär, he was back in the squad, got some minutes as well. Well, he's going to get probably going to get some more minutes in Game Week 38. I think probably, maybe, you know, he's one of the star players of Newcastle, but you do have to wonder what's going to happen here, whether Newcastle do want to play some of these key players with them just coming back from injury or not. And of course, Eddie Howe is famously a kind of manager who doesn't always give the exact truth when it comes to his press conferences. So take everything from the Newcastle list here with a pinch of salt, but Wilson back following illness, and Gordon, just be aware of the Gordon situation. I think most people will be looking to either sell or bench Gordon this week anyway, and that's probably going to be a good idea given that we can't quite trust Eddie Howe. Nottingham Forest, Dominguez and Williams have been ruled out, and apparently some others are out too. But we don't know exactly who is going to be out and who is going to be available. Now, at time of recording, there is no Sheffield United news. I can't find any useful press conference information at all. But if there's anything updated between this recording session and when I actually upload the video, I'll update it on screen. But right now, I've got nothing useful in terms of team news. For Spurs, Lo Celso, he has picked up a knock. Late call to be made on him, and there's no other returnees for Spurs. So it should be more of the same for Spurs. If you've got a Spurs attacker, you know, the likes of Son, Johnson, Maddison, these are pretty much nailed on players at this point because there's just no other options for Spurs ahead of their game against Sheffield United. So it should be pretty easy there to pick Spurs players. For West Ham, no update on Aguerd or Mavropanos. I would assume that they are going to be out based on the fact we don't have any new updated information, but hey, you never know. And Phillips, he's still out, but he's ineligible to face his parent club, Manchester City, anyway. And for Wolves, finally, Sarabia, he has a slight injury, apparently. Jose Sarr is going to return following illness, and Pedro Neto, he's expected to play some part in Wolves' away fixture against Liverpool. Now, before we go any further, I do want to give a shout out to fanprints.uk. This is my kind of side project where we are making lots of fantasy football and football related products for you guys at home. It's the best way to support this channel is by purchasing something from fanprints.uk, and you can get 20% off as well using the code FPL Mate, all one word, at checkout. Guys, I really appreciate everyone who has supported Fanprints so far. If there's anyone else who wants, you know, mini league prizes, just general fantasy football related prints, t-shirts, mugs, there's just so much on the website now. We've been working really hard to get some good products on there for you guys, and I think it's going to be you know, particularly really good for prizes or forfeit kind of booby prizes, I guess, for the final game week and for Game Week 38. And if any of you guys do award ceremony for your fantasy leagues, I know I've done that in the past. So much fun getting these kind of prizes and stuff and things to give out are great for these events. So yeah, guys, do consider getting something. Birthdays, Christmases, Father's Day, whatever. Check it out. Right, back to FPL, and Game Week 38 is a interesting game week historically because it's always a game week that provides us with more goals than usual. And given the fact that this season has provided more goals than usual, you can only imagine just how many goals are going to be scored in Game Week 38 in the FPL season of 2023-24. That's this game week, by the way, guys. So looking back through previous seasons, you can see that it seems to be always the case that there's under 3 goals on average per game in each game during every season. But until it gets to Game Week 38, then suddenly there's always more than 3 goals per game on average again, of course. So yeah, looking back to seasons like the 2021-22 season, absolutely incredible scenes there where we saw an average of 3.9 goals per game. That is huge, and it's going to mean a big opportunity for attacking players, but also it's going to mean that defenders less likely to score FPL points with less clean sheets likely to be seen. Now, there's various reasons why these Game Week 38s are so much higher scoring than usual. We are going to cover that in a very brief moment, but just wanted to go through the last couple of seasons. We've seen the likes of Arsenal score 5 goals last season, Southampton, Liverpool 4-4 draw last season, Spurs beating Leeds 4-1. In the previous season, I mean, there was so many teams scoring 3 or more goals in Game Week 38 in the 2021-22 season. It really was insane. So basically, what we're saying is we need to target some forwards, and we need to do that based on teams who have a lot to play for versus teams who have nothing to play for, because we often see rotation, we see teams that really don't have anything to play for anymore, basically in a way throwing the game. I mean, there's no motivation, they're already on the beach, various things like that. I want to cover all of those kind of circumstances and see if there's any teams that we can actually look to target ahead of Game Week 38. So, new graphic, new table. This is what we have got. Whipped this up earlier for you guys. And basically, what we've got is a list of all of the Premier League teams, what they are competing for between now and the end of Game Week 38, and therefore, which teams could be a very interesting teams to go for. So, going through Arsenal, for example, they are challenging for the title. They are challenging for goal difference, so goal difference is going to matter in their title prospects. Their max position is first, their minimum position is second, so that's a difference of 1 potential place. In conclusion, yes, they do have something to play for. Their opponent is against Everton at home. Is it favourable? Yes, it is, because Everton have nothing to play for. So when a team has something to play for, but their opposition does not have anything to play for, then that means that they are a favourable team. I have highlighted the teams who have a favourable matchup. Another one to note here, Crystal Palace. It seems like they have nothing to play for in terms of title Europe relegation. However, they have a maximum league position of 10th and a minimum league position of 14th. And that is a 4-place difference. So they have got a lot to play for in terms of league position, and they've got a nice favourable matchup against Aston Villa at home, who have nothing to play for. Aston Villa have no title Europe relegation to play for. They can't finish higher than 4th. They can't finish lower than 4th. They are locked in place and therefore nothing to play for whatsoever. Now, Liverpool is an interesting one because although technically they don't have anything to play for, they do have a situation where Klopp is having his last game for Liverpool, and it's at home as well. So this is going to be a huge game in Liverpool's history, and therefore you would say that they have something to play for in a slightly different way to some of the other teams. Man City against West Ham, another team that, you know, Man City have lots to play for, West Ham have nothing to play for, pretty much. Newcastle, Forest, both teams playing teams with nothing to play for. Newcastle and Forest playing for their place. Forest technically playing in a relegation battle, although a draw will probably see them over the line. Well, definitely will see them over the line. And Spurs is kind of an interesting one because technically they are competing for a European place, but that's going to be more dependent on whether Manchester United win the FA Cup or not. So they're kind of competing, but not really. They are playing against Sheffield United, who have nothing to play for. And if you guys checked out last slide, what you will have noticed that Spurs, whenever they play a relegation team in Game Week 38, and they've done that each of the last 2 seasons, they score a boatload of goals. So actually, Spurs is a really interesting fixture to target if you're looking for a lot of goals from Spurs players. Same situation with Arsenal, same situation with Crystal Palace, Manchester City, and potentially Newcastle and Forest as well, although their fixtures and their situation is slightly different, I guess. So Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and Man City and Spurs, I would say that those 4 teams have the most favourable matchups in terms of what they have to play for, who their opposition is. That's what I would be thinking about, and those are the kind of teams that I think we need to play for. Of course, a lot of this is my own extrapolations and my own conclusions, but we've got the data on screen for you guys. If you want to come up with your own conclusions, agendas, storylines, that's absolutely fine. We're all going to have our own opinions on this one, but hopefully, using this table, you can come to certain conclusions about who are the teams to target in terms of your transfers, and who's going to be conceding a boatload of goals and who's going to be scoring a boatload of goals, because that's what we're after in Game Week 38, really. Right, clean sheet odds was pretty popular last game week, so I thought we'd do that again, and maybe we can make the clean sheet odds a regular feature of this video, I suppose. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. But we have got a situation where there are a few teams with very, very good clean sheet odds, and the rest of the league doesn't really look so great. So Arsenal topping at the tables, 50% chance of a clean sheet against Everton. That is ridiculously high. So definitely a defence to target this week. Man City coming in second with a 46% chance of a clean sheet against West Ham. And Liverpool, an interesting one, in third place as well. 42% chance of a clean sheet against Wolves. Not sure if I trust that one as much, but Wolves lacking a bit of firepower. Liverpool at home, final game of the season under Klopp. It could be definitely an opportunity there for a clean sheet as well. Now, outside that, there's a few interesting ones here. So Spurs against Sheffield United got a 28% chance. Chelsea, if you've got Petrovic or Gusto in your squad, 25% chance of a clean sheet against Bournemouth. That's pretty decent. And Crystal Palace as well. If particularly those Crystal Palace defenders with attacking threat, so Mitchell, Munoz, we've already spoken about the fact that Crystal Palace could definitely score some goals against Aston Villa, giving Crystal Palace's score, you know, how well they've been doing, how they are still looking to move up to 10th place potentially, and the fact that Aston Villa have literally nothing to play for whatsoever. This could be a huge opportunity for Palace, not just in the attack, but also potentially in the defence as well with these clean sheet odds. Sitting at the bottom, we've got the likes of West Ham, Wolves, Everton, Sheffield United, Bournemouth. Really low chance of clean sheets there. But hopefully that's going to be helpful when you're kind of picking which defenders to start. I know a lot of people who bench boost did last game week. You probably have quite a few defenders and goalkeepers who you're not really sure who to play, who to bench. Well, hopefully these clean sheet odds do help you out a little bit. But of course, you do have to factor in attacking potential as well. Pedro Porro, attacking potential versus Sheffield United, for example, is going to be kind of important. So with all that said, I thought I'd build my perfect ideal Game Week 38 team. Now, this is the team I would choose for Game Week 38. I suppose if I was on a free hit, or, you know, if I've got some transfers to use, I would like to build towards a team that looks something like this. And this is what we got for you. Raya in goal, Guardiola, White, and Pedro Porro in defense. Of course, all three of those defenders with some attacking threat, because we spoke about already goal potential in Game Week 38. We want to be picking players with attacking threat, even in the defense, and we've got three defenders and the goalkeeper, 4 players, I guess, with high clean sheet odds as well. All of these teams are kind of in the top 4 for clean sheet potential this game week as well, even though, you know, clean sheet's not guaranteed, but certainly this is going to help a little bit. In midfield, we've got Salah, we've got Foden, Havertz, Palmer, and Elise. So we are targeting Aston Villa at home with the Crystal Palace attackers here. We also like Foden. He's been doing well recently, as we know, well, pretty much all season. Salah, final game of the season, final game under Klopp, and potentially final game ever for Liverpool. We'll have to see what transpires over the summer. Kai Havertz and Palmer, 2 men in form there against Everton and Bournemouth respectively. And up front, Erling Haaland, captain, nice and easy against West Ham. Really nice fixture for him. And Mateta doubling up on the Crystal Palace attack against Aston Villa, because, as we say, there is a lot of opportunity there, particularly with these Crystal Palace attackers being differential and cheap. So really nice additions to the squad. On the bench, we've gone pretty cheap because we do. I decided to make a team with an exact budget of 100 million. We've got Turner, cheap goalkeeper on the bench. We've got Chris Wood, although rotation with Awoniyi is possible in this final game week of the season. We've got Doughty against Fulham at home, and I put Hall as well in there for a nice cheap defender. So this is an 100 million team. If you are on a free hit, you have a little bit more budget, then maybe you can make some changes, upgrade some of those areas. But in general, I love this team, and as someone with 2 free transfers going into Game Week 38, I'm probably going to try and build towards making my team look something like this, actually, and hopefully it's going to work out. Let's see how it goes. Okay, captains, guys. Yeah, the sensible option is Haaland, and I think the vast majority of managers will be captaining Haaland, although it has to be said, in Game Week 38, we often see a lot of people going differential in order to chase rank. So even though Haaland seems like the super obvious pick, and you would imagine on a normal game week, you know, if this is game week 1 or 2 or 3, you're probably going to see Haaland captained by 90% of managers who you're competing with. In game week 38, it's probably going to be a little lower as people look to go differential to chase those ranks. Now, if you are someone who is just looking to consolidate your season, you're top of your mini leagues, you are happy-ish with your rank, or maybe you feel like you can go differential in other areas of your team, then Haaland is by far the most obvious captain here. But Salah as an alternative against Wolves hasn't been performing recently, but you do have to have a bit of romance, I guess, around this Salah situation, this Liverpool situation, this Klopp situation ahead of this Wolves fixture. Wolves are a team badly out of form at the moment, we have to remember as well. So you could potentially go for Salah as a bit of a differential. Anyone outside of that, we're looking at the likes of Palmer, Foden, Havertz, Saka, if you're willing to take a punt there. If we get good news about Salah starting on Sunday, then yes, certainly you could throw Saka into this mix. And various other players, I know you guys are going to be, a lot of you will be going crazy with those differential captains for Gameweek 38. You know what, I say go for it if you want to and you really are chasing rank, but it really is a case of Haaland being by far the best captain this week, and unless you really do need to do something crazy to end your season, you're probably just captain Haaland, to be perfectly honest. And I think you'll be surprised how few people will actually captain him ahead of Gameweek 38 because everyone is going for those differentials. And finally, goalkeeper start order. I think the clean sheet odds probably is maybe a replacement for this page. We need to figure out what we're going to do with this series going forward next season. But Raya, Ortega, Alisson, these are your kind of goalkeepers you want to be playing. If you've got a Petrovic as well, you can potentially afford to play him as well. Henderson, Vicario are okay. Dubravka, Verbruggen, not so keen on these players. And, you know, the likes of Fleck and Onana, Leno, Martinez, Pickford, Jose Sarr, Areola would be looking to bench all of these kind of players if possible. Starting, you know, start the players towards the top of this list. That's what I would say. And that's it for our final decisions video. And guys, this was a brand new series we brought in this season, and I really hope you guys have been enjoying it. There has been a decent amount of love for this series this season, but if you've got any feedback on how you would like this series to look every week going on to next season, I'd love to hear some of your feedback, because of course, first season of this series, I'm open to feedback. We are going to be looking to improve it as we go forward and hopefully give you the content that you really do want. But I do appreciate all the support on this weekly video every week so far, well, for the whole season, I guess. So thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate that. If you have been enjoying it, do leave a like, do subscribe, because we've got one more video and a stream before Gameweek 38. But until then, check out another video, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.